listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast, coming to you from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Your source for UFC news, previews, and post-fight coverage. Hosted by your favorite duo, Daryl and Asher. Let's get it started.
Hello guys, welcome back to MMA Brothers Podcast. It's Daryl.
It's Asher. And today we have a special guest with us. His name is Billy Wills. Billy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm doing good, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing great. So, Billy, you are a strength and conditioning coach specifically for MMA fighters. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. So, I guess, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about how you got started with strength and conditioning and why you chose MMA specifically?
So I got into strength and conditioning as I started off as a personal trainer in a gym. And basically I didn't see a long-term future. So I thought, what could I do to become a person who's going to be able to work in a gym until they're 60, 70 years old? I looked into the strength sensei and I saw him and I got inspired to go through this journey of becoming a strength coach. I've been wanting to work with fighters since before, like as a PT. So I was working with like amateur boxers and some people who just do it for like recreational fights and stuff. And I've been a fighter all my life. I've been doing karate since I was 7 and then blossomed into more different variations of martial arts, which is great.
Great. And I just have a question for you. Now that since you've been started into the community and everything, what's the main thing that you could tell someone who wants to get started in strength and conditioning as a coach that you are yourself?
So I'm relatively new as a strength and conditioning coach myself. I'd say maybe in the last sort of year and a half, I've really been pushing what I do. I would say make sure you understand each individual person rather than just giving people set plans, because I see a lot of coaches out there giving every fighter the same plan and it's not gonna be the best bet for them.
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask is, I guess, how important strength and conditioning is in MMA, because, you know, like you said, you did some karate when you were younger and you started to learn other martial arts and stuff. So when do you think like it's necessary for a fighter to get a strength and conditioning coach? Is it like when you're starting to become an amateur or when he turns pro? Because a lot of these fighters, you know, they work out, they lift some weights, they do their training.
Go on the treadmills and
go on the treadmill.
Exactly,
so when do you think it's like, now I need a strength and conditioning coach?
That's a good question. It really depends on where they're coming from, and like so like if you can really take one on at any time, but ideally if you're a youth athlete and they're working with their boxing coach. I know a lot of combat sports athletes who overtrain because they have their they'll do the boxing in the morning, they'll do runs and then jiu-jitsu in the evening, and they're trying to combine it all. So it really is depending on the fighter when is the best time to bring it in. If you have like an amateur fighter that's fighting every other weekend, it might be a little bit more challenging for structuring a plan, and they're probably burning the candle at both ends anyway. But I mean, if they're starting young and you've got and they can get a good strength background, then they're going to have they're going to be heads and shoulders above the rest when it comes to as they mature with age and then get stronger and faster.
And touching on the overtraining, how much training is too much training? Because as you say, there's people that are always in the gym, working hard, trying to get better at their craft. But at what point do you reach diminishing returns on your investment in training?
That would depend on the athlete really, because you have these athletes who are able to absolutely kill it during the training and train 2-3 times per day, as long as they're getting their recovery and their right nutrients and the right food in, they'll be able to recover more efficiently and be able to do more and push further through. Obviously, like with the strength and conditioning side, we'd have like periodization blocks where they'd be working up into like a peak of their performance day. So they'd have like a peak day just for a fight, And the length of that would depend on how often they plan on fighting. So if they're fighting once every 3 months, like some of the UFC fights, like Don Cerrone, he will have like a 3-month block of where he's strength training, getting more sport specific training, and then peaking for his competition. And then he'll go back through, maybe take a week or two off, and then cycle back through, because he's like the most active fighter, I swear.
Every other weekend, Donald's fighting.
Yeah, Donald needs to take a chill pill, and I like how Dana has been like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with Cerrone. It's like, hey, Dana's about to pull the plug on him.
I think that would be such a bad move if he pulled the plug on him. I think because he's the most he's a very interesting fighter as well. I'd happily sit and watch all of his fights on repeat. It's just and he loves what he does, and he's just hilarious with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate that he never got the chance to win a title. I know he had a few title shots,
Exactly,
lost them, but yeah, definitely he's a Hall of Famer in everybody's book. I was gonna ask,
Mm.
so how do you like make strength and conditioning fun? Because like usually most of these fighters, I don't. By the way, I don't mean that in an insulting way.
No, I get what you mean. I get what
you know what I'm
mean.
saying? Because like a lot of these, I've done Muay Thai in my life, but I didn't do it for like super long. I did it a few years ago, but I started a few years ago. What to me, for personally, I loved going to the gym and learning how to kick, learning how to punch, and doing those little things and feeling like I'm getting better, right? And I remember every Friday after I was done work, there was a strength and conditioning class, and I hated it, right? And I was like, that's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to go. And some guys screaming at me to do more push-ups, more sit-ups, and to run and do all these things. I just want to go to the gym and get a workout in and learn some skills. So I know you've worked with obviously some amateur boxers and some people that are becoming more professional, but is this something that you see that's consistent, where it's like the pros, they don't want to do strength conditioning as much, they just kind of want to focus on the MMA skills? Or is it like the more like serious they take it, the more seriously they want to do strength conditioning?
Yeah, in a way, like I'm finding more and more people are coming to me for wanting to work with to become stronger and faster for combat sports, and these are all people who are like relatively new to their craft and to their trade, and they want to be the best, and they want to be just be able to produce more power, and like their ability to then transfer that into their sport is just phenomenal. And it's like the more regularly they train in this strength and conditioning, and it doesn't ever have to be boring either, because there's so many different methods that they could potentially take, or different exercises that would still reap the benefits of strength and conditioning. It's just finding somebody who's willing to sit there and plan it all out, because I think that's the most time consuming thing of part of my day, is sitting there and planning for this, that, and the other. Because again, I'm in my first sort of year and a half. I get so invested in writing the best plan, and then I'm like, shit, they can't do every.
It's all good.
You can swear as much as you want, man. Trust me.
All right, cool. That's cool. And they're like, oh shit, they can't do this day, and it just throws the entire plan out the window. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, it's just like what they can manage, because their skills training comes first. So obviously if they are having a high intensity skills week where they're doing a lot of hard sparring or working on the ground game a little bit more, there'll be the strength and conditioning will take the back seat, but that's to be expected and to be accounted for.
And I have a quick question. You know how it's like, not bro science, but people who don't really know a lot about strength and conditioning say, oh, the bigger power punchers need to train cardio, and then the cardio heavy people need to train a lot of their strength. Now that you're getting into the sport, the big heavy hitters you probably even see in amateur boxing, do you focus more on building their strength at that point, or the conditioning? Because usually those two don't go together. Really hard punchers usually have not the best cardio. People with really good cardio don't usually have punching power. So how would you build their programs around them to make them better, if that makes sense?
So that would then depend on the fighter and what they would want to achieve with this camp. So what would get people in to do first is to take them through some physical testing. So it'd be like a bleep test, not all in the same day, thankfully, because they would die. We could either do like a bleep test, like a push-up test for their endurance, and then we could go for like a broad jump test where they get them to leap as far as they can, or a vertical jump test to see how much power they can produce. And then that's like a good starting point to measure where they can be in 3 to 6 or 12 weeks, depending on how long they're sticking around for, or how long until their fight. And then if they were with me off camp after their fights and stuff, then we could really make leaps and bounds with their progress.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What I was going to ask next is, how do you mix nutrition with strength and conditioning? Because obviously we know that, in MMA, weight cutting is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
If a fighter is like, oh, I got to make this weight, or if fighters are cutting a lot of weight, and then you're a strength and conditioning coach and telling them that they need to do a certain thing, like, do you work with nutritionists? And I will follow that up with Gathin, because obviously we both know who he is, and that's how you found out about us. So it's a multi-part question. I'm sorry, I'm throwing in multi-part questions.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I've not worked with any myself yet. I am working now with Gethin to try and get a digital product created for us to then bring to the masses, of being able to train people and give nutritional advice all in one package. It's in the very early days. We're aiming to get this product out for the new year. I shouldn't be saying too much about it, to be honest.
Breaking news.
We'll have to get us back on in the new year. But yeah, so I've got a background in nutrition anyway, but Gethin is the one who's bringing it all together, and he's got the ties to the Liverpool the former champion over there. So it's all about bringing us both together to create some amazing product, which we're in the process of creating still. But I've had a jiu-jitsu fighter who wanted to lose. He needed to lose something like 15. You guys are frozen.
Oh yeah, sorry. You froze. Okay. Is everyone okay?
Yeah, both of us froze for each other.
Everyone froze. I was like, no. But sorry, go ahead. You have a jiu-jitsu fighter?
Yeah, I had a jiu-jitsu fighter that needed to lose about 15 pounds in about 3 weeks. And this was the first time ever trying to do a weight cut. Thankfully, that guy was a chef as well. So he had a good understanding and knew how to cook properly. So made my job a little bit easier. And we managed to do it, managed to get him into the competition. And I can't remember how well he did. It's a couple years back now, but he did do okay. He didn't go out first round.
Okay. So more on that topic with nutrition and things. So do strength and conditioning coaches, you're a unique situation where you have a nutritional background. How much should you guys communicate, right? Because I think remember Gethin said that he has to, guesstimate how much calories they're burning based off of how hard they're training and their cardio strength and conditioning. It seems that you would want to have those two people coordinate almost everything, because they're the two people that are going to help you cut weight. They're going to help you become stronger. Both of those two go hand in hand. So why are those two separate, would you say, as of right now?
I would say because most of the time they're separate, because they are two very different. You won't get many coaches who are good with enough knowledge to give great nutritional advice. I'm not saying I'm any good at it either. I'm just saying that it's always good to have two heads is better than one in this case. But ideally, you would have like the strength coach, the skills coach, and the main coach. I would say would be the skills coach, and then the nutritionists all come together to form like a strong bond to help create this fighter's best camp for him. But from experience, I've experienced very little communication with one particular skills coach, and it didn't go down so well.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what are your overall goals with your company? Because you started your BWF company, right? So
Yeah.
I guess what
So
are your short and long term goals?
so ideally, I'd love to work with more professional athletes. I've got a couple that are on the cards. We're waiting to hear back from a few of them. Um, Basically, I just want to primarily work with combat sport athletes who want to get ready for competition, or if they're in their off camps, to get stronger and faster for their next round of competing. Um, whether that is jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, MMA, boxing, I'm creating different avenues in how to help them all. And then obviously, I would love to set up my own facility. That's probably about five years down the line, I would say. And then work with the local gyms around me and bring all their fighters in waves and have them all work within the gym.
The beauty
So,
of
yeah.
MMA right now is that it's forever growing, right? I still have friends today that aren't really big UFC fans, and then like they're
Mm,
slowly coming around, you know what I mean? Like slowly more
yeah,
fighters, especially during the whole pandemic, a lot of people that like never really used to watch UFC started paying attention to it because it was one of the first sports to come back. And then people are like, oh
exactly.
yeah, I used to hate it, but it's not so bad. So reason why I say that is that like I do feel like there's potential for businesses like yours down the road when more fighters start to, get into the sport or more people start to enjoy it, and then they'll be like, oh, maybe I should look at MMA as a way of getting your workout in. So I think the future is
Yeah.
bright.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think it's ever glowing. There's going to be far more avenues for us to go down, and
And
yeah, it'd be great.
yeah, and this is just a question for me personally. If you wanted to get in good fight shape, what type of cardio should you be doing? Is it running? Is it biking? Is it elliptical? Is it swimming? Like what cardio exercise would you say best replicates of a fighting shape, if that makes sense? If you get where I'm going
I
with the question.
mean, it would then depend on when you are deciding to do it. I mean, you'd rather do like your long, steady state cardio out of camp. You wouldn't want to focus on that as you're coming towards a fight, because then you're not working on the same sort of energy system. So, like for a fight, if you're doing like a 3 5 minute round bout, you would, in those 5 minute rounds, you're not full on going completely as hard as you can throughout. It would be short, sharp bursts with a bit of recovery. So with your energy systems, you'd have yourself throwing like an explosive combination, and then having to maybe grapple a little bit. That will tire you out more. Then you need to then recover to then repeat that. But you also need to have your endurance up, your cardio up, so you're not going to burn out and fatigue within the first round. So it's a lot of information, I know, but
No,
there's
it's
a lot
making
of
a lot of
factors.
sense. It's
Yeah,
making a
so
lot of sense.
yeah, so there's a lot of factors that come into play with it. So like, if you wanted to do swimming, or if you wanted to do treadmill, or you wanted to do the elliptical outside of camp, go nuts, do whatever. I haven't found something that's more beneficial than another. I mean, other coaches may have. I haven't yet to find what works best. It's just whatever the athlete prefers.
So essentially work on your long-term endurance outside of camp, and then work on
Yeah,
explosive cardio in camp that mimics what
yeah,
you're going to be going
yeah.
through. Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So like you'd be working on your sort of like lactate system, so you're not gassing out within sort of 15 to 20 seconds, and you'll be working on that repeatedly, so you'll be able to recover faster, so you'd be able to throw more anaerobic sort of attacks, more explosive attacks.
And how do you work on that? Like, what are some sample exercises? Because I saw on your page you had for power, it was like with the barbell, and then you're pushing it up. There was the ball
Yeah,
throwing one, and there's the thing. So, in terms of that lactate, I think you said lactate.
yeah, yes, I did. Yeah, so that
So,
would be more for like explosive power sort of movements. So to train the lactate system, you'd either get them to do like a farmer's carries or repeated sprints, or on the assault bike. You guys got the assault bike out there?
Yeah.
So it's like a giant fan thing. They're quite popular around the UK at the minute, um, but which are great fun. And like, I'm getting all my information and all my training through Phil Daru, who won like MMA Coach of the Year, like 3 years running, I think now. which is fantastic. He's based in Miami, and he trains like Joanna Jurjasic, Edson Barbosa. Who's the new guy? Is it Philip Hawes, the one that won over?
Oh
the
yeah,
weekend?
yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a beast.
Past
He's
weekend,
a beast,
right?
man. Yeah. So he is his coach, his strength and conditioning coach, and I'm one of his mentees on his mentorship program, which is pretty cool.
No, that's amazing.
That's awesome. Like, it's to put on a resume and say that, hey, this is who I'm learning from and stuff like that. And hopefully in the future you get a chance to work with some of his athletes or whoever who comes through England. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So I want to ask you now, I guess, about who you find. Well, first, two things. I was asking these 2-part questions. First of all, what's your favorite MMA discipline? And then second, who is your favorite fighter in the UFC right now?
So I'm glad I'm on this week's call, to be honest, because I'd say my 2 favorite fighters all time are Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall. And I was like, no, there's no way they're fighting. Of all people, those 2 are my top 2. And I was just like, there's no way that they're both fighting. And now I get to talk about it with you guys, which is great. Best discipline, I would say, obviously, my 2 would be Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but again, everything has its part in MMA because the game can be changed instantly. But yeah, best fighter. I'm torn between Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall. It's just those 2 are my go-tos.
So if you had to pick, who do you think is winning this weekend? If you had to pick, because someone's got to win.
I know someone's got to win, but looking at their last fights, neither of them have fought in the last year. Anderson Silva's lost his last 2 fights, but he's had Cannonier and Izzy, so that's been 2 very, very hard fights. I mean, the man's 45 years old now, so he's getting on a bit. But I don't know. I feel like he's going to retire after this fight, though. That's my feeling. Whereas Uriah Hall hasn't fought in like a year again. But like he's been saying that he's got a new team with him as well. So he's got a new skills coach. I'm guessing a new strength and conditioning coach. If not, Uriah, hit me up.
Slide in the DMs.
Yeah. And then I rewatched his fights this afternoon. His most recent fight. I can't think of who he was fighting against, but he had the more significant strikes out of that fight. He won it on split decision. And he was very shocked that he won on split decision. You saw it on it, you'd see it on his face going, "Oh, okay."
Are you talking about Anderson Silva's fight?
No, Uriah Hall.
Okay.
Won last year. It was. But he was very
Antonio Carlos Jr.
Yeah.
That's the one. And yeah, when he won that, he looked very surprised on his face because I watched it this morning. I was like, oh shit, okay. He wasn't. Watching it back, I wouldn't have said he would have won that either. But out of those 2, I'm gonna have to give it to the GOAT. I have to give it to Anderson Silva. I think he'll just
like
I don't know how
point strike him, or he's finishing Uriah Hall. Which one are you going with?
I think it's just going to slug it out for the rounds, go the distance, and just win on just overall decision wise. I hope there's some flashy kicks because those 2 are known for their kicks, and I'm going to be losing myself watching it at 3 a.m.
Yeah, I hope I don't offend you by saying this, but I think Anderson Silva is getting viciously KO'd this weekend.
You think?
I think so.
Well, either way, they're both my favorites, so I'm happy either way.
Yeah, I just have a feeling like Anderson Silva actually really hasn't won a fight in like years because he did win against Derek Brunson, but everybody said he lost that fight, right? I think that was his last win, and then in between that, he's had like a lot of losses. And then if you go back to his last legit win was against Nick Diaz, but then he tested positive for something in that fight. So then that was a no contest. So if you go back to his last win, it would be like before Chris Weidman. And I forget who he beat before he fought Chris Weidman. So you see, we're going back like
so long ago.
Yeah, we're going back like 7-8 years since like he got like one official dub, and that last official dub was when he was champ. So you know what I'm saying? Like it's been a while. And the thing is,
It has been a while.
the UFC has not done him any favors. Like they just keep giving him like Adesanya, Uriah Hall, Jarek Adenier, and I'm like, bro, let this man breathe. He's not a spring chicken anymore, you know. So,
Yeah. So
go ahead.
So his last win before Derek Brunson was against. It was 2015. No, not even 2015, because that was the no contest, wasn't it?
Yeah, I guess.
Chris Weidman. Yeah, Chris Weidman was his last win.
No. He never beat.
No,
Chris
sorry, he
Weidman.
didn't even win against. Sorry.
Yeah. Who did he fight
Chael
before Chris
Sonnen.
Weidman?
Chael Sonnen in
Chael
2012.
Sonnen. Oh my God. 8 years ago. That was his like yes, he had an official win against Derek Brunson, but everybody said he lost that fight. So 8 years ago was the last time this guy got like a clean, like no controversy win. So and he's fighting Uriah Hall. And I don't know if you saw his fight against Paulo Costa.
Oh yeah, Stephan Bonner was his last win.
I thought that Bonner was before that. Hang on. Sorry, yes, you are right. You are right. I read it from the wrong end. Yeah.
No, but either way, it's still 2012. God.
Yeah, still 2012.
So he was like what, 37 last time he got a dub. So
Jesus,
yeah. And like I was saying, Uriah Hall, he fought Paulo Costa. I know he's fought twice since then. I think he's on a 2-fight win streak. And he was jabbing Paulo Costa up. And this is Paulo Costa, like, you know, that Paulo Costa, not Izzy Paulo Costa, like the beast Paulo Costa. And he just kept jabbing him. So Uriah Hall's stand-up is nasty. He's great. But who knows? Maybe Anderson Silva needed the time off. Maybe he's going to come back refreshed and his skills will be on point. But I'm just I think it's a sad way to go out, because it is going to be his retirement fight. That is confirmed. And I just hope but
who do you give him though? Like I feel like any middleweight is just like maybe Jack Hermanson, because Jack's gonna take you down and ground and pound, and then it's just gonna be done, and you can spare him if he's eating like one or two mini shots. But Uriah's KOs are not pleasant, man. You know what I'm saying? Like every one of his wins is pretty vicious.
Who gives you a pleasant KO? It's like, I'm just gonna give you a nice.
No.
Well, I mean, yeah. There's no pleasant KO, but I mean, so what got me interested in Uriah Hall was the Ultimate Fighter spinning heel kick, and that when the guy was just convulsing on the floor, I was just like, man, that man can bang, and it's incredible to see, and I've always rooted for him, and I'm torn. I really want them both to win. If there could be both winners, that'd be great. Dana, make it
majority
happen,
draw. Majority
draw.
Yeah.
So no sore losers, but yeah, man. It would be good to see them fight this weekend.
I
saw that Gegard Mousasi get KO'd by Uriah. I just saw it again. I was like, God, because like Joaquin Buckley, what he did to the guy, Uriah Hall did the same thing, except his kick didn't get caught. He just did a spinning like heel kick to the face, but then like the foot like slammed into Gegard's face. It was bad.
Yeah, I remember that KO. But yeah, I just feel like it's I feel like it sucks for fighters, like, you fight your heart out, you're risking your health and all this stuff, and then Dana is out there talking trash, like, yeah, I think you should retire, like, yeah, that fight sucked and blah blah blah. And I'm like, bro, like, I remember, I think it was in the Contender series, there was a guy that was trying to make it into the UFC. I don't know if it was like a split decision or maybe he had too many takedowns, something about the fight, and Dana wasn't happy, and he never got a UFC contract. And I think he tweeted or had an interview where he was saying, like, man, I was pissing blood after the fight. And then Dana, like, said like he didn't enjoy it and whatever and stuff. So it's a brutal sport. It's a brutal game, like, it's tough, man.
That's why the UFC is where it is, man. Dana doesn't give a fuck. He really doesn't give a fuck. Right?
Yeah.
But so I was gonna get your opinion. I assume you watched this last weekend's card, right? With Habib and everything.
Yes, I did.
What do you think is next for Robert Whittaker? Do you think he's deserved a rematch with Izzy? How do you think the rematch goes if you do?
I think they should let Michael Chandler have a go first, because they brought him over from Bellator, I think, and he was ready to stand in on the weekend. Wait, am I on about the same?
No,
Yeah,
you're in a
Michael
different,
Chan-
you're in a different
yeah,
division.
different weight
But
class, different weight class.
yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Mhm.
Sorry, my bad.
No worries.
Yeah, no, I think they should let Whitaker have another shot at it. Just because he's an incredible fighter. He's won his last two fights, hasn't he?
Yeah.
No.
Last two,
Yes.
he's beaten.
His last
He
two
beat
till
Darren Till and he's beat
Yeah.
Jared Cannonier, all within the space of 1 year, right? Within
Yeah.
the last like 3-4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, because he fought till the beginning of summer, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, I think he should have it. I think he should have a shot. And I think Dana said something he's going to have a shot at some point, which I think would be wicked. I think it would be a complete different game.
But what does he do different, Billy? This is what everyone keeps saying. Robert's back. He's going to beat Izzy. And I asked him, what do you do? Are you going to stand from the outside and fight without Adesanya? You can't do that. You're going to jump in and try to blitz him like you do with everyone else? You can't do that because you got knocked out last time you did it. Well, you're going to wrestle them? Rob never wrestles anyone. It's like, you know what I'm saying?
That's a good point, actually.
Everyone's so like happy. I'm like, what's it going to be different? That's what I'm thinking. If people like, he's gonna come with a different game plan. He might leg kick Izzy. I'm like, well, Izzy just leg kick him too. You know what I'm saying? He's the longer rangier fighter. So I don't know. I was hoping to think. What do you think that would happen differently this time? If you know what I'm saying, if they fought again.
I mean, I honestly don't know. To be honest, I think it might go down the same way it did last time. If I'm honest, I think Izzy might take the win. But it's a difficult one because there's so many different ways Izzy can throw down. I know we haven't seen him grapple too often, but it's like I would just love to see them have a proper, just a brawl rather than
then point fight.
Very instead of point fighting, get in there, getting brawled. But I think it'll be a completely different game, and it'd be great to see.
I was literally thinking, I think it's too late now. I was thinking of making a meme because you know how everybody's been talking about how like Khabib's like #1 pound for pound has been asking for that, and I wanted to use like a meme of somebody like confused or something. It's like when you ask to be the #1 pound for pound fighter but retire at the same time. It's just like, dude, like you can't, like how can you be both? You know what I mean? I want to be pound for pound #1, but I'm retired. It's like, okay, so like what are you saying, you know?
And I don't get how he's #1 pound for pound. I'll get your opinion on this, Billy, as well. To me, John Jones has won 15 titles. He's still fighting. He's still an active fighter. Khabib has won 4. I don't care if you're 29-0. You've not won 15 UFC titles, right? So how could you put him pound for pound tied #1 when the other dude has won 15? Right? It's not like it's 13 and 50. He faced tougher competition. Yeah. He did clean out his division. He deserves to be #2. You can't put him #1
at least. Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's like, like you said, he hasn't won as many UFC wins or UFC titles. But like, there's no one. I would love to see him stay on. If I'm honest, I'd love to see Khabib stay on and fight the rest of the people like Michael Chandler. Get to put his name in again. I'd love to see him. Those two go, or Ferguson. I'd love to see Tony Ferguson fight him. I think that would be an interesting fight. Or GSP for the 30-0.
No,
I just feel like
I don't think Tony would get taken down because Tony doesn't care. I feel like Justin was so petrified of getting taken down that it screwed his game plan, right? So
that's it.
That was Tony doesn't care. Tony gets taken down by everyone. He's not like Tony's defense is amazing. But sorry to cut you off, Asher. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm kind of with what Billy's saying. I feel like Khabib just cut his career short. I think he's 32 or something. Like, yeah, technically it's cool to get to the 30-0 number, but like realistically, there's still like other matchups that would be dope to see Khabib in, right? So for him to end his career this early, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like he's selling himself short, and I understand the whole father thing. Like, So, it sucks. Is what I'm just trying to say. Yeah, but anyways, I mean, we were pretty much out of time, so I was gonna say, obviously, thank you for hopping on. It's been awesome.
Thank you for having me.
And I wish you all the best, especially with your collaboration coming later this year that you broke news with.
Early next year.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
it properly.
Early next year.
yeah. So yeah, best of luck, obviously, with the mentorship program and your business. And we'll get you on the
Thank you very
podcast
much.
again soon. Hopefully, we can talk again once Silva gets KO'd this weekend.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes out. I mean, like I said, I'll be happy for either of them to win, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm. And so,
Yeah,
Billy,
man.
how can people get a hold of you? What's your Instagram? What's your socials? Just let some people know.
So my Instagram is Billy Wills Fitness. Just where I post all my information and everything. I've got a website at billywillsfitness.co.uk. I have my merchandise on the website and everything. That's about it. Or Facebook, Billy Wills Fitness. Yeah, it's all the same across the
All right,
board.
thanks, man. Thanks again
Awesome.
for
Thank you very much for having me.
No worries.
Take
It's been
care.
a pleasure.
Have a good night.
And you take care. Bye.
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 Thanks for listening to the MMA Brothers Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please give us a follow on our socials. You can check out a description of this episode for more, but don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at MMA Brothers Pod. We'll see you on the next episode.